I'm Owen. I turned 21 last Saturday. Big deal, right? Legal drinking age, milestone birthday, maybe a nice dinner, some cake, at the very least a happy birthday, text from the people who raised me? Yeah, none of that happened. Honestly, I wish I could say I was shocked. But if I'm being honest, this kind of thing is just expected by now. My parents have spent my whole life making sure I know where I stand in the family pecking order. Spoiler, it's somewhere below the cat and way below my younger sister, Chelsea. Chelsea's their star. Their little miracle child. If she wants something, it's hers. If she needs something, the world stops spinning until she gets it. Me? If I ask for anything remotely inconvenient, it's a hard no, followed by a lecture about being selfish. But still, somewhere deep in my dumb sentimental brain, I had this stupid little hope that maybe, my 21st birthday would be different. I live on my own now. I don't see them as much. I thought, hey, maybe now that I'm officially an adult, they'll try. Just a little. So, that morning, I sent a message in the family group chat. Hey, what time are we meeting for dinner? Nothing. Crickets. I went about my day, trying not to obsess over it, but by 3 p.m., that old familiar pit was gnawing at my stomach. I finally caved and called my mom. She picked up on the second ring, all casual. Hey, sweetie. What's up? I paused. Are we still doing dinner tonight? There was a pause. Then a sugar sweet. Oh, honey, I should have told you earlier. We're going out with Chelsea tonight. My stomach dropped. Your what? Chelsea has some exciting news, she said, like this was just a normal Tuesday and not, my birthday. We're taking her out to celebrate. I sat there blinking, trying to process the absurdity. It's my birthday. She laughed. Like I was being dramatic over a minor scheduling conflict. Oh, Owen, don't be silly. We'll do something next weekend, okay? In the background I heard Chelsea's voice. Is that Owen? Tell him we'll save him some leftovers. Then, there was more laughter. That was the moment it stopped being just neglect and started being deliberate. I could have yelled. I could have tried to guilt-trip them. But honestly? What was the point? They knew what they were doing, and they just didn't care. So I swallowed the lump in my throat and said, Sure. Have fun. Then I hung up. I sat there for a solid 5 minutes, just staring at my phone, not even sad anymore. Just furious. Burning, shaking, done. Then, an idea hit me. I called my girlfriend, Lana. Hey, I said, keeping my voice calm. Wanna grab dinner tonight? She immediately picked up on the vibe. Of course. What's going on? I told her everything. She didn't hesitate. Come over. My parents want to celebrate with you too. Let me just say, Lana's parents have been more loving and supportive in the past 3 years than mine managed in my entire life. And when I got to their place, her mom greeted me with the warmest hug I've ever received. Happy birthday, sweetheart. You deserve something special tonight. They took me out to this insanely nice steakhouse. The kind of place my parents love to name drop when they're trying to sound upper class. Her dad even ordered a bottle of champagne to toast me turning 21. For the first time all day, I felt like someone cared. But that wasn't even the best part. The best part came after dinner. I took a photo in front of the restaurant's glowing sign and posted it to Instagram with a caption that read, Huge thanks to my girlfriend and her amazing family for making this birthday special. Grateful to be surrounded by people who care. I didn't expect a response. I figured my parents wouldn't see it until the next day, if at all. But less than an hour later? My phone lit up like a Christmas tree. So there I was, full of steak and champagne, sitting on Lana's couch, feeling, shockingly, content. For once, my birthday hadn't been a miserable exercise in pretending not to care. I was surrounded by people who liked me, and it was weirdly nice. But the real gift? I watched my parents lose their minds over a single Instagram post. First, my mom texted me. MOM, what is this post, Owen? Then my dad chimed in. Dad, are you serious right now? And then came the inevitable phone call. I let it ring. Twice. 3 times. 4. Just staring at the screen, smirking. That photo hit a nerve, and I knew exactly why. It wasn't guilt. It wasn't concern. It was pure, unfiltered jealousy. See, my parents love to perform online. They're the blessed type, posting curated family photos where everyone looks happy and their golden child Chelsea is always front and center. But now I was the one getting sympathy. I was getting the attention. And worst of all, I wasn't playing their game. By the fourth call, I picked up. "Oh hey, Mom," I said casually, like nothing was happening. "What the hell are you doing, Owen?" she snapped. "People are seeing this. You're making us look bad." I almost laughed. "I'm just thanking the people who showed up for my birthday. You're being dramatic. We had plans with Chelsea. It's not like we forgot you." Right. Choosing to celebrate my sister's random news instead of my 21st birthday wasn't forgetting, it was just prior commitments. "You raised me," she barked. "This is how you repay us. By trying to make us look like villains? If you didn't want to look like bad parents," I said slowly, "maybe don't act like bad parents." Cue silence. Then my dad took over. "You need to take that post down. Now." I leaned back in Lana's living room chair like I was the CEO of Not Gonna Happen Incorporated. "No." His voice dropped an octave. "If you don't take it down, there will be consequences." "Oh no. Not consequences." I stifled a grin. "Like what?" He didn't answer right away. I could hear my mom whispering frantically in the background. Then finally, "We're coming over." I blinked. "You're what?" "We're coming over to talk. In person." And that, dear Reddit, is when things went from passive-aggressive to just plain aggressive. I hung up, turned to Lana and said, "They're on their way." Her eyebrow went up. "Your parents?" "Yup. I've embarrassed them." She rolled her eyes. "God forbid they experience actual consequences for their actions." From across the room, her dad, Mark, let out a low chuckle. "Let them come. They could use a lesson in what a real family looks like." Her mom, always the voice of grace, looked a little more concerned. "This might get messy. Are you sure you're ready for that?" I nodded. I was more than ready. I'd spent my whole life tiptoeing around them. I watched them bend over backward for Chelsea while I got leftovers, if that. But this time? They were coming to me. And they were panicking. 20 minutes later, the sound of tires crunching gravel filled the driveway. I stood up, slowly, stretching like I had all the time in the world. Lana gave me a little arm squeeze. "You got this." The doorbell didn't just ring, it slammed. 4 rapid-fire punches like they were trying to break it off the wall. Mark headed over to open it, totally unbothered. "I'll get it," he said with a grin. And in they came. My mom was first, storming in like she owned the place. My dad followed, jaw clenched, looking like he was about to scold a waiter for getting his steak medium well instead of medium rare. "We need to talk." "No," my mom snapped. I crossed my arms. "Go ahead." Her eyes flicked around the room, at Lana, her parents, the warm lighting, the calm atmosphere. She looked off balance. Like she expected me to be alone and sulking. "Not here," she said sharply. "Come outside." "Nope. You can say whatever you need to say right here." My dad bristled. "Enough with the attitude, Owen." "Oh, sorry," I said, raising an eyebrow. "Still figuring out this new thing called self-respect." That one hit. My mom inhaled like she was about to deliver a speech she'd been rehearsing since the car ride. "We are not going to let you humiliate us online. Do you know how many people saw that post? Your aunts, your uncles, we are being judged." I blinked. "Maybe don't give them a reason to judge you." Lana snorted. Even her dad had to look away to hide a grin. My mom turned beet red. "We are your parents. We deserve respect." "Right," I said. "Like the respect you showed me when you ditched me on my birthday? When you laughed at me on the phone? Or when you made it abundantly clear that Chelsea will always come first?" I shook my head. "Sorry. Missed the memo where that earned you loyalty." My dad took a step forward, trying to regain control. "You're being dramatic." "No," I said steady. "I'm finally being honest." By this point, The tension in the room was thick enough to slice with a butter knife. My parents weren't used to this version of me. The ones who didn't fold, didn't apologize, didn't try to mediate their chaos like a guilt-ridden referee. They were used to the old Owen, the one who took whatever scraps of love and attention he could get and said, "Thank you," like it was a gift. But now, they were in my space. My life. And for once, they weren't in control. That's when my mom's eyes flicked to Lana. More specifically, to the way Lana was sitting next to me, close, comfortable, and very much on my side. Her hand resting in mine like it belonged there. Like I belonged somewhere, finally. And that's when I saw it. The shift. My mom's gaze narrowed, and that carefully disguised tone of superiority slipped into something uglier. "So this is what this is about," she sneered. "You're trying to replace us with them." Lana stiffened beside me. I didn't. I just shrugged. "If the shoe fits." My dad's face twisted. "Enough of this. You're taking the post down. Right now." I leaned back like I had nothing better to do. "Nope." His nostrils flared. "Don't test me, Owen. I swear." "Or what?" I shot back. "What exactly are you going to do? Ground me? Take my phone away?" I smiled. "Oh wait, you can't? Because I don't live under your roof anymore. I don't rely on you. You've got zero control." That landed. My dad's face turned an impressive shade of angry sunset red. I could practically see the vein twitching in his forehead. For a second, I genuinely wondered if he was going to explode. But it was my mom who went quiet first. Her silence was louder than any of her yelling, and way more dangerous. That's when she dropped her favorite card to play. Her ace. "You're going to regret this, Owen," she said softly. Almost sweetly. Like poison in a sugar packet. "You don't realize what you're throwing away." I tilted my head. "What am I throwing away, exactly?" She met my eyes, and I saw something flicker behind hers. Then, like she was revealing the secret twist in a soap opera, she said, "Your inheritance." I couldn't help it. I laughed. Loud. Bitter. Reflexive. Like it just exploded out of me. "Inheritance?" I repeated, still chuckling. "You seriously think I care about your money?" My mom looked stunned. Like she'd expected me to fall apart. Beg forgiveness. Instantly retract the post and offer a groveling apology. Instead, I leaned forward, calm as ever. "You've never done anything for me," I said. "You made it clear, again and again, that I'm not important. That I'm not worth your time or energy or basic decency." I folded my arms. "So go ahead. Keep your money. I don't need it. And I don't need to earn your love because that ship sailed a long time ago." Her jaw dropped open and closed a few times, like a fish gasping for air. My dad looked like he wanted to punch a hole in the drywall but was still trying to figure out which wall wouldn't cost too much to fix. "You're ungrateful," he hissed. "You want to throw away everything we've given you?" I raised an eyebrow. "What exactly have you given me? Besides a childhood full of emotional landmines?" That one hit hard. Mark, Lana's dad, gave me a small nod from across the room, subtle, but proud. And I saw my mom flinch at that. Because for the first time, someone else was proud of me. Someone not obligated by blood. She hated it. "You can't cut us out of your life," she snapped. "We're your family. You'll regret this. You'll come crawling back." I exhaled, slow and even. "Oh yeah," I said with mock enthusiasm. "Can't wait to crawl back for more gaslighting and emotional neglect. What a dream." I stood up. "I'm done," I said simply. Her eyes burned. "You think you're going to walk away and what? Just replace us?" I met her stare, cool and steady. "No," I said. "You've been replacing me my whole life. This is just me realizing I don't need you anymore." And that's when she lost it. "I'm your mother. You'll never get rid of me." I held up a hand and cut her off. "I don't have to," I said. "You did that all by yourself." The air in the room was thick. Not just with tension, but with finality. My mom's face was contorted into some blend of fury and disbelief. My dad stood behind her, jaw tight, fists clenched like he was still waiting for his turn to jump in and discipline me like I was 10 years old again. But those days were long gone. You've pushed me away for years, I said, voice steady. You've made it painfully clear that Chelsea comes first. That I'm optional. An afterthought. I glanced at Lana's parents across the room, calm, steady, real. The kind of people who had made me feel more seen in 3 years than my parents had in 2 decades. So no, I'm not interested in pretending you're something you're not. You've already lost me. This is just you realizing it too late. My dad stepped forward, barely containing himself. We raised you, Owen. Everything you have is because of us. I almost laughed again. No, everything I have is despite you. He opened his mouth again, but Mark finally stepped in, his voice like an anchor dropping into the storm. I think it's time for you two to leave. Calm. Firm. No room for argument. My mom looked at him like he just told her she was banned from country clubs for life. But even she knew the conversation was over. She turned toward the door, fury radiating off her in waves. My dad muttered something under his breath and followed her out without another word. The door closed behind them. Silence. I stood there, still absorbing what had just happened. Every word, every look, it had all been building up for years. And finally, the dam had burst. No more walking on eggshells. No more fake smiles at family dinners I wasn't invited to. Lana came over and wrapped her arms around me. You did it, she whispered. You finally said what you've always needed to say. I hugged her back. I didn't even know I had it in me. Her parents joined us a moment later, Mark giving me a nod of respect and Lana's mom offering a soft smile. No big speeches. No, we're proud of you. Monologues. Just a kind of quiet solidarity. Like they understood without needing to say anything at all. And honestly, that meant more than anything. But of course, it didn't end there. It never ends there with people like my parents. About an hour later, just as I was finally starting to relax, my phone buzzed again. I glanced down. Mom. The message was short. Bitter. Almost theatrical. We're not done here. You'll regret this. We'll be contacting the lawyer. You'll pay for this. It wasn't just a text. It was a threat. A desperate Hail Mary from someone who thought they could still manipulate me with money. I showed Lana the message. She read it and snorted. Is she serious? Very. But here's the thing, it didn't rattle me. Not like it would have before. That old anxiety, the fear of losing what little connection I had to them, it wasn't there anymore. I wasn't scared. I was free. I opened the message app and started typing. You're right, we're not done. But keep your money. Keep your inheritance. If you ever want to talk to me like an actual adult, without threats or guilt, you know where to find me. But if you try anything else, it won't work. I'm not afraid of you anymore. Send. The weight that lifted after that text? Unreal. For years, every interaction with them had felt like a tightrope walk. One wrong step, and I was the problem. The bad son. The ungrateful child. Not anymore. My phone buzzed again. This time it was my dad. No message. Just 3 voice notes in a row. I tapped the first one and held it to my ear. Ranting. Anger. Accusations. Something about how I was throwing everything away. How I was ruining the family. Click the second one. More of the same. Now with added guilt trips. The third one? Desperation. Actual panic in his voice. Like he could hear the power dynamic shifting in real time and had no idea how to stop it. I didn't respond. Didn't need to. They weren't just mad, they were losing control. And nothing terrified them more. Lana leaned in. You good? I smiled. Genuinely smiled. Yeah, I said. They're not used to me standing up for myself. But they'll get over it. She laughed softly. Or they won't. And that's okay, too. And she was right. They couldn't take anything from me that mattered. Not their money. Not their approval. Not even the illusion of being a good family. Because that illusion had already shattered. Just when I thought the storm had passed, When the yelling had gone to voicemail and the text slowed to a trickle, my phone lit up again. Chelsea. Of course. I stared at the screen for a second before opening the message. Mom and Dad are furious. You really messed up this time. Ah, there it is. My sister, delivering her usual passive-aggressive PSA like she's the family spokesperson. No, happy birthday, no, hey, are you okay? Just go straight to damage control. Classic Chelsea. She's always been the golden child, but not in the loud, bratty way. No, she's the subtle kind. The perfect grades, the fake humility, the carefully curated social media presence. Always the peacekeeper. Always the one my parents held up as the example. And when things blew up, she was always the first to chime in, not to de-escalate, but to redirect. To make me the problem. I put my phone down without replying. I'd spent too many years taking the bait. Arguing with her. Trying to explain why I was hurt. Trying to get her to see that maybe, just maybe, our parents weren't the saints she thought they were. But Chelsea didn't want to see it. Or worse, she did, and just didn't care. This time, I wasn't engaging. I wasn't going to explain myself like some teenager who missed curfew. I had nothing to prove. Not to her. Not to them. Not anymore. I looked over at Lana, who was curled up beside me, half watching something on Netflix, half watching me. You good? She asked. I nodded. Chelsea's just playing her usual role. She wants you to back down? She wants me to feel like I'm the villain for standing up for myself. Lana didn't even pause. Then screw that. Later that night, Lana's parents suggested we head out for a late drink to celebrate. Not my birthday, at least, not anymore, but the freedom I just won. And that's exactly what it felt like. Like walking out of a prison. I didn't even realize I'd been locked in for years. We hit this little rooftop bar downtown. Nothing fancy. Dim lights, acoustic music, city skyline. I'd never been there before, but somehow, it felt like the perfect place to mark the occasion. Not a birthday. A rebirth. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I had to shrink myself to make other people comfortable. I didn't have to second-guess every word or wonder if I was just being too sensitive. I was surrounded by people who got it. People who didn't need to be convinced to care. I posted one more photo that night. Just a casual shot of the rooftop, caption. Here's to walking away from the people who only show up when it's convenient. Best birthday I ever had. Yeah, it was petty. A little dramatic. But also, it was the truth. Within minutes, the comments started rolling in. Friends. Old classmates. Even a couple of extended relatives I barely spoke to. Wait, what happened? This post is a mood. You deserve better. Always have. It was validation I didn't even know I needed. Not the kind that comes from revenge, but the kind that comes from being seen. And I knew exactly what my parents would do next. They'd deflect. Blame. Play the victim. Spin some story about how they were being unfairly attacked by their ungrateful son. They'd probably host a family dinner next weekend. Post smiling photos. Chelsea is front and center. My absence edited out like I was never there to begin with. But it wouldn't change a thing. Because now I was in control of my story. And no amount of fake apologies or guilt-tripping texts could erase the moment I finally chose myself over their approval. The next morning, I woke up to peace. No anxiety. No mental gymnastics trying to figure out how to fix things I didn't break. Just Lana sleeping beside me, the sun creeping in through the window, and the soft buzz of my phone on the nightstand. I rolled over, stretched, and picked it up. 17 new messages. Because, of course. Most were from my mom and dad. A few late-night guilt bombs. Some angry, typo-ridden tirades. One from my dad at 2:11 a.m. just said, "Unbelievable." In all caps. Inspiring stuff. But I didn't read them. Not really. I just scrolled through, watching the desperation spike. First, there was rage. You're humiliating us. Take the post down. Then came the guilt. After everything we've done for you? Followed by the threat card again. Lawyer. Inheritance. You'll regret this. And finally, The Hail Mary. We just want to talk. Can we please talk? They weren't messages. They were symptoms. Symptoms of people who had spent their whole lives believing they were untouchable. No matter what they did, I'd always come crawling back. Always fold. But this time? I didn't even flinch. Because the power they had over me, it was gone. Every time they tried to drag me back into that cycle of guilt and obedience, it just bounced off. Like watching someone try to start a fire with wet matches. Lana stirred beside me, her eyes still half closed. They still trying? Oh yeah, I said, holding up my phone. All 5 stages of grief. In order. She groaned. They don't know when to quit. Nope. I started typing out one final message. Not to them, but to myself. You don't need their money. You don't need their approval. You never did. You're free now. Stay free. I pinned it to the top of my notes app. That day, I turned my phone on Do Not Disturb and spent the entire afternoon with Lana. No drama. No family group chat. Just burgers, bad TV, and her parents teaching me how to make their signature garlic bread from scratch. It was ordinary. And it was perfect. I'd spent so much of my life thinking that family had to mean blood. That you had to fight and beg and suffer just to keep those ties from snapping. But here I was, happier than I'd ever been, surrounded by people who never made me earn love like it was some sort of prize. And I realized something. I hadn't lost a family. I'd found a real one. Later that night, I checked my phone again. One last time. Just to see if anything had changed. It had. The last message from my mom was short. Cold. You've made your choice. Don't expect to be welcomed back. I stared at it for a second, then locked my screen and tossed the phone aside. Because here's the truth, they never welcomed me in the first place. They tolerated me. They used me when it was convenient, ignored me when it wasn't, and resented me any time I asked for more than the bare minimum. So no, I wasn't coming back. Because there was nothing left to come back to. I didn't expect to feel anything when I cut them off. But I did. Not sadness. Not guilt. Relief. Like I'd been holding my breath for 21 years and had finally exhaled. And yeah, some moments stung. Little flashes where my brain tried to guilt-trip me on autopilot. Maybe I was the problem. That maybe I should have just let it slide one more time. After all, it was just one birthday, right? But then I remembered, it was never just one birthday. It was every ignored milestone. Every time they said, "We'll make it up to you," and didn't. Every time Chelsea needed something and the world stopped, and I needed something and got a lecture. And this time? They didn't just forget. They chose not to show up. So I chose not to forget. A few weeks later, Lana and I were having dinner with her parents again. Just a regular Friday night. Pasta, wine, and her dad complaining about the neighbor's new leaf blower. And out of nowhere, her mom turned to me and said, "I know this probably isn't what you imagined when you thought about turning 21, but we're proud of you." I didn't even know what to say. Not because I doubted her, but because no one had ever said that to me without expecting something in return. I just nodded and said, "Thanks. That means a lot." And it did. That night, I got one more message. This time, from Chelsea. "You know Mom and Dad are rewriting the story, right? Telling people you blew up over nothing. That you overreacted. That you're unstable. I tried to defend you. They didn't listen." I stared at the screen for a while. She wasn't trying to mend anything. Not really. Just playing both sides like she always had. Making herself the misunderstood middleman while still sitting comfortably in the golden child seat. I didn't respond. Because if I had, I would have said something like, "They've been rewriting the story my whole life. I'm just finally writing my own." But she didn't deserve that line. I did. And I was done wasting good lines on people who didn't care. Instead, I posted a final update, one last Instagram story. It was a photo of Lana, me, and her parents at dinner. Nothing dramatic. No captions about betrayal or karma or revenge. Just a simple message. Grateful for the people who show up without being asked. That was it. No more passive-aggressive shade. No more battles for validation. Just truth. And peace. And for the first time, I didn't care who saw it. Because I wasn't trying to send a message anymore. I was just living my life. And if that life didn't include the people who made me feel like a burden? Good. That wasn't a loss. It was a win.